Pittsburgh Steelers fans, what's going on? This is Jeff Hartman, editor of BehindTheSteelCurtain.com, with you for another episode of the Steelers postgame show. And believe it or not, the Steelers have started to stack wins. It might have been a week in between, but they've won 2 straight games. They won against the LA Chargers in week 6, week 7 bye week, and now a week 8 Monday night win against the winless Miami Dolphins. It was ugly, like Lance's mask looks right now.
And it's crooked, and I can't get it straight either. But I promised that the mask would come out if they got a victory. I can't promise how long I'm going to keep this thing on, but I promised that I would put it on. So if you're not seeing this right now, shame on you. You should have tuned in to the top of the program.
Let me just say that if you're listening to this in audio platform, it is worth going to youtube.com, search BTSC Steelers Radio, and just look at what I can't keep a straight face.
Because the mask is crooked.
It looks awful.
I can't even get it straight. Oh, and Halloween is coming up this week, so
very
great.
True, yeah.
There you go. I can't even keep the thing straight.
All right, so we'll try to talk some football here. You know, the funny thing is that with the Steelers, and you brought up Halloween being scary and the mask and stuff, boy, what a scary start to this game it was for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They come out, Mason Rudolph's first pass is an interception, and then it almost seemed like in a blink of an eye, they're down 14-0. Lance, you were sending me probably a million texts a minute during that time. You were ready to just find a bridge and jump off it. Did you finally calm yourself down?
Yeah, I finally calmed myself down. Boy, this mask is hot. Yeah, I did. I did calm down. And, you just have to have faith that bad teams are going to figure out ways to lose. And the Miami Dolphins are absolutely creative when it comes to doing that. That was the worst defensive call I've seen in quite some time to end a half. And they couldn't tackle the guy, and the game changed.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying in terms of finding new ways. That zero coverage was certainly interesting, but at the same time, the Steelers made plays. Deontay Johnson obviously had to still run after the catch and score that touchdown, but I thought in the second half especially, the Steelers came out and were just really playing good football. Clearly, Mason Rudolph started to settle in. We'll talk about his performance in a second. The defense really started to settle in, and the defense didn't give up another point as the final score was 27-14. So, Lance, what do you think, in your opinion, was the turning point of the game? Was it first half, second half, whatnot?
I think it was a play at the end of the half. I think once they got, and then that allowed them to get into a rhythm and to get comfortable. And I think a lot of it is, teams struggle coming off the bye week. I think what Coach Tomlin said in his press conference, playing professional football is difficult. We think it's as easy as riding a bike for some of these guys, but, you got to kind of get back into the rhythm of it. The coaching staff, the players, everybody have to start warming to the task of playing a professional football game again. And I think they were able to do that, assisted by some injuries on Miami side with Xavier Howard going out and them finding a matchup that they liked against number 24, the cornerback, and them really controlling the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, particularly in the second half. They warmed to the task. I think had they not been coming off of a bye week, they probably get to this a lot sooner.
I agree. And I think that was a nice way to finish for fans because, look, if I was at Heinz Field, I probably would have been booing them too in the first quarter. It was awful, especially offensively. They just looked out of sync. They couldn't do anything right. Mason Rudolph looked every bit the quarterback that not only hadn't played in almost 22 days is what they said. So over 3 weeks since he had last played, and he's coming off a concussion. You have to think that big hit was kind of in the back of his head the entire time. I think they still deserve to hear those boos coming down. And Juju Smith-Schuster in his post-game press conference said, hey, but we want him back. Absolutely, you want him back because they started to take care of the football. They started to convert on third downs. We'll talk about that. But Lance, just your knee-jerk reactions now. What is your knee-jerk reaction after this game? And really just 3-4. They're 3-4 as the Colts come to town next week with a chance for them to get back to 500.
It's interesting. Well, what I think is that every game is going to be a struggle when you have an inexperienced quarterback. Every game is going to be a struggle. So, there are going to be definite ebbs and flows in games because the offense is going to be inconsistent because you have a rookie starter back there. So, you're going to have to buckle up. I didn't do a good job of buckling up my emotions earlier in the game. I was sort of on an emotional roller coaster, but you're just going to have to buckle up, man, and it's going to be a bumpy ride every game. There's going to be times where you just want to throw something at the TV because you essentially got a rookie playing quarterback, and that's just how it's going to be moving forward.
I want to read this tweet. See if I can find it here. It was by Will Graves, who is an Associated Press writer.
I love Will
Pittsburgh.
Graves.
Yes. And he tweets and says, "Are we still benching Rudolph, or was that just like a first quarter thing? Not every quarterback that comes in plays like a Hall of Famer from the second they start, like the guy who's had the job for 16 years. You've had a 1%er problem since 2004. This is how the other half lives." I thought that was a very fitting statement about I think the expectations put on Mason Rudolph as well as the fan response to just a little bit of struggle. Lance, you agree or disagree with that statement?
I do to somewhat, yes. To a certain extent, yes. I mean, yeah, it's hard to argue. I mean, the previous guy, number 7, played great football to start. You just want a little more consistency. Here's my struggle with Mason Rudolph is that, and I think one of the Booger said a lot of interesting things that I did not necessarily understand or agree with. But one of the things he said that I agreed with 100% is at some point in time, you're going to have to use the entirety of the football field on offense. And I think what you can see with Rudolph is that the coaching staff is still a bit uncomfortable with him throwing the football in between the numbers. Hence, you really don't see the seams being attacked, and you don't see the tight end being utilized in the passing game. So I think Graves is right. The fan base is just going to have to be patient. This is what it's going to look like when you don't have a number 7. And it's hard to have a number 7 coming down that pipeline. We can't be, you can only hope to be as lucky as Green Bay.
You're right. Now, let me ask you this question. If second half Mason Rudolph is kind of like, will be the every day, every week Mason Rudolph, is that something that you'd sign up for?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I wouldn't say superstar, but I'd say serviceable. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I'd say that'd be enough to build on. At some point, I still want to see. They still have to get him to a point where he can check out of stuff. And let me give you an example. And Dave was pointing it out, and I saw it late in the game as well. When you go jumbo package, one wide receiver, and Miami has essentially 58 people in the box. I mean, you have to be able to check out of that play. You've got to get into a better look because that play is not going to win. So I think what Steeler fans should be looking for in terms of Mason Rudolph's progression is checking out of plays, running no huddle, and executing 2-minute offense.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Before we go any further, I do want to tell people that we have well over 220 people in the live chat right now or watching this live. The best thing you can do to help us out, and people that want to give us their hard-earned money, in the super chat feature, which you can do right below on the comment, by the comment bar there below. The best thing you can do is like this video and subscribe to our channel, period. Liking videos helps promote our videos amongst all the other Steeler videos, and it doesn't take anything. Just go find the thumbs up, hit the thumbs up button, and then subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get 5,000 subscribers by the end of the season. We're already almost to 4,200. I think we're at 4,190. So you all have responded. We appreciate that, but still, thumbs up really helps us out, especially for Lance's mask.
You gotta love the mask. I mean, you have to love the mask. You have to love it. I mean, come on, you gotta like the mask. Still mascaras.
So, someone awesome stuff 1983. He said, I'll put it up here. He says, better see a number 2 on you next week, Jeff. I don't have a Mason Rudolph jersey, and as of week 6, what I'm wearing right now is what they won in. They won again. I am not changing a thing. I didn't get out my Color Rush Roethlisberger jersey tonight. I wore the same exact thing as I wore in week 6. So in week 9, I'll be wearing the same exact thing. I'm superstitious like that. That's just how it rolls.
Hey, Jeff, man, we've been talking so much about wrestling and stuff on the last few shows. When I saw Ben Roethlisberger with the right arm cast, I just thought of wrestling, like he was going to clothesline somebody, come off the top rope, hit him with an elbow with the cast on. I was just thinking of 80s wrestling, like he had it loaded and he was going to rip that thing off, run on the field and start slinging the ball around or something.
Like back when they used to go underneath the mat and pull out chairs and all that stuff.
Exactly. He was going to pull out an elbow ligament, jump on the field, and throw for 400 yards or something.
All right. So we have a question here. This is from CBCBCB. He gives $1.99 in the tip jar. We appreciate that. He says, can Fitz, meaning Minka Fitzpatrick, who had 2 interceptions, be a Troy type? I'm going to preface this before I go with you, Lance, that they play different positions. But go ahead and answer that, Lance. What do you think?
No. You just got to accept that Troy Polamalu types are, kind of like once in a generation type guys. Like a strong safety to be able to play, sideline to sideline like Troy, his ability to cover, blitz, tackle, and run crazily after interceptions, jump over piles. Troy is just that dude. Troy's one of the best Steelers of all time. I think Minka Fitzpatrick can be a very good player. Putting him in the same breath as Troy Polamalu might be unfair to him. Troy is just that dude, first ballot Hall of Famer guy. Troy's just that guy. I don't think we'll ever see a Troy again.
He's a generational talent. That was the word you were thinking for.
Absolutely.
He's a generational talent. And honestly, he doesn't have to be Troy Polamalu. If he's just the best Minka Fitzpatrick, it's already an upgrade over Sean Davis.
The guy got 2 picks. The one thing I think that should be, something that listeners should recognize is look at the turnover total since Minka Fitzpatrick has been on the football field. It's just, they get turnovers and a bunch every game. And I don't know if I'm correct. Dave's probably asleep. But I think with the 4 turnovers tonight, they've surpassed their season total from last year.
Well, they had the season total last year after the Chargers game.
So there you go.
They're just adding on to that. And Rod Young brings up something that people need to remember, and that is that Minka Fitzpatrick is still very young. He's still only a second-year player. People forget that Troy Polamalu as a rookie, as a rookie, he didn't do
0
much.
snaps. Yeah, he'd shoot. Yeah.
And it was his second year that he started to kind of show. Well, Minka Fitzpatrick wasn't in the Steelers system even in week 1, let alone having a full year under his belt. So give it some time. He has 3 interceptions on the season. He takes the lead away from Devin Bush at the interception mark. So
how about this question? I might pose it to you, Jeff, and pose it to the live chat as well. Minka, what about TJ Watt? Can TJ Watt be as good as Debo?
Well, Brian Anthony Davis has the numbers down to a T, and I'll have to have him bring this up on at least our Steelers. I can't remember he said, but basically, if he stays on this trajectory, TJ Watt's current trajectory, he'll shatter James Harrison's franchise sack mark. He certainly is coming on earlier in his career, but like I've said before, he seems to do something different every single game.
He got the Holy Trinity today, Jeff. He got a sack, a strip, and a recovery
all on one play.
All on one play. And it looked like he pinned the guy, like they do in wrestling. He looked like he pinned Fitzpatrick as well because he reached over him like he was in a reverse bridge. And I thought that the referee was going to tap the grass and go pin, match over.
Maybe. Well, speaking of TJ, a vodka drinker puts $5 in the tip jar. Appreciate that. He says, I laughed hard when I saw Dupree absolutely destroy that offensive tackle, Bud the Dud is not being Bud the Dud, and so I'm not sure what to say about him, but he's playing good football, don't you think?
You might have to put some respect on his name,
Oh, well, what's
just like you might have to put some respect on that other guy's name that plays for the Steelers. Special teams.
Jordan Berry?
Yes. Yeah.
Not that. Well, we'll see.
Okay. Dud looks like a guy that is playing for money. And
Absolutely.
here's the thing. It's a tough evaluation. I think if you're the Steelers, when you think of Bud Dupree, your evaluation, you can't allow your evaluation of the player to be overly tipped in one way or another by what he does this year. You have to evaluate him over the course of 5 years, and does it make sense? You cannot let this year supersede the previous 4. It has to be a complete book when they make the evaluation. I think someone asked me on a program here a couple days ago if I would re-sign him, and I said no. I said no. I think, had he done this last year and this year, I'd say yes.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to have some tough decisions this offseason in general. We talked about players like Hargrave, and obviously Dupree falls into that category. So we'll see. We had another tip jar donation, $1.99 from CBCBCB. He says, "Have you ever seen Pouncey get bulldozed like that?"
Quite a few times, actually.
Pouncey's not having a great year, in my opinion.
No.
Not really. He's never been that center that's going to dominate at the point of attack, but his athleticism is what's made him great. But even just in week 6 against the Chargers, you think about all those bad snaps to duck. It was just strange.
He's a little light in the tail feather. When you put guys on his nose, when you could put guys on his head playing zero technique, he has some issues. He's not the most stout, like Jeff was saying, at the point of contact, and he can be moved. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know if Pounce is the guy that he was, but I still think he's solid, and they work well as a unit. My only concern with that unit is with Mason Rudolph at quarterback. Man, I was glad to see Rudolph move a little bit in the pocket, man, in the second half, because in the first half, he was in the same exact spot every single drop. I was like, gee, my knees. These guys are like, can you move a little bit and assist us just a bit and display just a touch of pocket mobility? Help us out here.
Nicholas Gabriel puts $2 in the tip jar. He says, this defense is real and real young. Now, you did a show all about this, Lance, and you said that they are on the cusp, essentially, of being great. Do you still see that being true to form? Do you think they took a step forward today? Because let's remember that one turnover obviously gave the Dolphins some great field position. What are your thoughts?
They're on the cusp. I mean, the one thing that they have to clean up is something that we saw in this game. They give up some bad third and longs.
Oh man, it's every game. It's every game.
Every game. I pointed that out in my show. They clean that up. They have a potential of being a dominant defense, but man, they give up some 3rd and 14, some 3rd and 10s, some 3rd and 12s. But it all washes in the rinse when you look at the stats. And I don't know if we're going to jump into those, Jeff, but when you hold a team to 3 of 8 on 3rd down, it doesn't look as bad. But I swear, I think 3 of those 3rd down conversions were from 10 yards plus. So, they've got to clean that up. You've got to clean up those 3rd and longs. And it'd be interesting to see, as I'm Dave's de facto producer for the Stat Geek. Dave, if you listen to this show back, can we take a look at the Steelers defense 3rd down and long conversion percentage? What is it, and where does it rank in the National Football League? And if you check out the Stat Geek show tomorrow, I'm sure Dave Schofield will have that number for you.
He probably will. Here's $2 from Snowman. He says, James Conner has an AC joint injury. How is Foster? Yes, so let's update all the injuries while we're at it. Ramon Foster left with a concussion. He was diagnosed with a concussion, therefore he is now in the NFL's concussion protocol. Benny Snell Jr., he had a knee injury, did not return. Marquise Pouncey had a calf. Let's see here. The James Conner had a shoulder. They're going to evaluate him. And there's one other player I'm trying to think of that left the game. I'll bring up the article here in a second, but those are basically the big injuries. The biggest, in my opinion, other than the offensive line, is the fact that at depth at running back, now you're looking at if James Conner has to miss a game and Benny Snell's a knee, you better hope Jalen Samuels is healthy. He practiced fully this week, but we'll see.
Well, listeners, if Jeff is not hosting the show, Jeff's toting that thing next week.
Yeah, right. There you go. Let's see here. Okay.
I wanted to ask you real quick, Jeff. You saw Ben's beard. Looking at the beard and the growth and his face shape, plus or minus pounds Ben has put on since he's been hurt.
Yeah, honestly, like some people's beard games, I don't get. The neck beard is never a good look on anybody.
No.
When you have the full on neck beard, it just makes it look worse. So I think that I'm going to say +5. I think he's still okay for now. The jacket makes it look bad. I'll say +5.
Okay. I'm going to say +10.
Some people are saying +15. Mr. and Mrs. Steelers said 40. Holy jeez.
Whoa. He is hibernating. He is putting on that extra layer for winter. It's about to get cold in Pittsburgh.
That's
Especially
true.
You can't look like that too when you've got like $100 million in the bank. You should look well coiffed at all times.
I think when you have $100 million in the bank, it doesn't matter what you look like. That's what I would think.
I guess that's the case because he doesn't care. He's cool because Kiesel had it like, really nicely groomed. It was part of Keys' image.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's look at some stats here, Lance. We always like to look at stats. Well, let's look at some individual stats first. James Conner, huge winner in my opinion, even though he did leave the game with that shoulder injury. 23 carries, 145 yards, 1 touchdown. Lance, thoughts on James Conner's performance? Or we can also talk about the offensive line in regards to running the football.
Yes, kudos to the offensive line and kudos to James Conner. I mean, I didn't necessarily think that the Steelers would have a 100-yard rusher this season. I mean, at this point, and I was reading an article by Ed Bouchette from The Athletic, they were historically bad for the franchise as a running team. And, James Conner was averaging maybe about 3.2 yards per carry. So it was great to see him get off the snide. 23 carries, 145 yards, 6.3 yards per carry. They run for 158 as a team and average 5.5 yards per carry. Excellent. But again, with James Conner, they're going to have to get a running back at some point. And I don't think Benny Snell is the guy. No lateral quickness, no juice, no burst. Snell, football. Benny, no Jets. Connor just can't stay healthy. So I don't know if he's the long-term solution because you just kind of knew, man. He got nicked late, and you're like, man, he's going to get hurt again. Jeez, there it is.
Yeah. Like you said, it's just all about his longevity and his health, and we'll see.
Short-jevity.
Very true. Maybe he won't. Maybe his injury won't be the significant kind, and he'll be able to come back. We'll see. Tomlin will meet with the media tomorrow, so we'll know more about it then.
Can we trademark that phrase? We got all these witnesses on the live chat. Short-jevity. That is a Lance and Jeff trademark phrase. Short-jevity.
There you go. All right, let's go to Mason Rudolph. Finishes 20 for 36, 251, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, an 84.4 rating. Grading out. Think about Mason Rudolph, Lance. What are your thoughts on him?
F first half, probably a B plus, A second half. Overall, a C plus. He was as bad as you could get in the first half. I mean, it was just really awful. He couldn't see the field clearly. He wasn't processing things, it looked like, quickly. He looked really bad in the first half. I thought he got into a rhythm rebounded. I think that play at the end of the half really got him into a rhythm. And then he closed the game out. I mean, winning correct. That's what it is. He's a young player. And I think they have to gradually continue to expand his plate so you can see what the guy can do. They have to be able to evaluate the player by the end of the year so they can know if he's the guy or not. But you went incorrect. So, get better each week.
Yeah, I just would say that maybe the first quarter is where he would have an F grade. But I think that after that, he kind of started to get in rhythm again, and he started completing some passes over the middle, which you said that they were struggling to do earlier in the game. Not everything was outside the numbers and stuff like that. So.
Jeff, did you see? I don't know how to signal you, but I'm looking at a name of a guy in the live chat. That has to be one of the most inappropriate names ever. I'm not going to say it, but I'm sure you'll say it. That just struck me, and I was like, whoa, that's pretty bad.
That's pretty bad, yeah. Okay, yeah. Let's go to some receiving stats. Juju Smith-Schuster, 9 targets, 5 receptions, 103, and a touchdown. I really felt like if James Conner needed this performance the most, then Juju Smith-Schuster needed this just as much, and it was like 1A and 1B. What are your thoughts on that?
I think you're absolutely right, and I thought they were going to hammer the Dolphins, but I'm still surprised that they're going to come out with a 250-yard passer, 100-yard rusher, and 100-yard receiver. I didn't think I'd see all of that in this particular game, but yes, Juju needs to eat, and he was playing with a precociousness like, finally, I'm getting some targets and I can eat.
Yeah, it's definitely a situation where I didn't think that they forced the ball to him, to me. You might disagree, Lance, but I felt that Mason Rudolph, he kind of spread the ball around, and when he got Juju, especially in the slot, one-on-one, they were able to really take advantage of those defensive backs. So Juju Smith-Schuster finishes with a big game. I was happy to see that. I think that absolutely he was, starting to kind of get into a groove with a quarterback. It's got to be tough on the receiving core, considering the fact that they've gone from Ben Roethlisberger to Mason Rudolph to Devlin Hodges, now back to Mason Rudolph. So I think it was very good to see him bounce back. And then Deontay Johnson, 7 targets, 5 receptions, 84 yards, 1 touchdown, 45 was his longest. Do you think that he might be becoming that second wide receiver the team needs so bad?
Not necessarily, but I think he's progressing. I mean, I like the way Tomlin described him. He's a player on the come. He's a guy that they just need to get better every week. And Mason Rudolph missed that shot play late in the game to him, or Mason Rudolph would have probably been over 300 yards according to your prediction. Mason Rudolph has to hit that play there. So, it's hard to really evaluate wide receivers when you're playing with a quarterback this inexperienced. So, this is almost like a red shirt year for him, but it's a year in which he's getting valuable snaps. And I think I like what I see so far. Do I want them to go out and get another established NFL wide receiver to pair with Juju, and then Deontay Johnson in Washington be the number 3 and 4 and 3 receivers? Absolutely. But speaking of James Washington, let's not forget the fact that those 2 blocks to get Deontay Johnson into the end zone were outstanding. So I want to give him a big shout out. He got 2 critical blocks late in that run to get him in the end zone. I think that was a fantastic play by him.
The block on the touchdown, boy, he lit that guy up. And the guy saw it coming too. It wasn't like it was a blindside block. It was a legit block. I want to take a quick aside here and just say something that a lot of people are bringing up players like, oh, should the Steelers trade Johnny Holton, or should the Steelers trade Ryan Switzer, or should they trade Dante Moncrief? Okay, let me say something quickly because the trade deadline's coming up.
29th.
Yes, now it's today. Yeah. On the East Coast, it's today.
I think 4 p.m. Eastern Standard.
Yeah. Do you really think, if you're someone that sat there and thought today, maybe we could trade Ryan Switzer for like a draft pick, who is going to want Ryan Switzer?
A bag of nickels.
No one. Oh, maybe we could trade Dante Moncrief. Is there a demand for receivers that can't catch the ball in the NFL now?
Yes.
No, no. Uh, it's I get that you don't want to give up a commodity to get a commodity. It just doesn't work that way. Oh, we'll trade Artie Burns for a pick. Why? Who's gonna want Artie Burns and give up anything of note for him? I just
There is a demand for fat podcasters that wear masks.
really.
Yes, there is.
That's interesting.
Trade deadline. Big Swa doing Bungles podcasts.
Bungles podcast. Okay. So just want to say that when people think about like, oh, they should trade this guy, that guy, whatever.
Anthony Chickalo.
Yeah.
Maybe we can wrap Chickalo in for a second rounder. He just has to get off the exempt list.
Just bring a little bit of reality to the situation, folks, is all I'm suggesting. All right. So let's go to the defensive side of the ball. I want to get your thoughts on Joe Haden because I thought they targeted him a lot. He finished the game with 7 tackles, only 1 assisted, and he didn't. I don't know. He just seemed like they were playing off a ton, especially early in the game. Lance, your thoughts on the secondary and/or Joe Haden in particular?
I think Joe Haden has to take it personally. When a young player, when he is the target of a young wide receiver that has accomplished nothing in a National Football League, it almost appeared as if Joe Haden was a tackle the catch guy. From a logical standpoint, it makes sense. Look, we're not going to give up any big plays. We'll just keep it in front. This offense is pretty punchless. If we keep it in front, they can't matriculate the ball down the field and score. But man, it looked like he was the candy bar. And you can't be the candy bar. You can't be the Snickers or the Twix or the Payday for a no-name rookie wide receiver on a 0-16. That's got to improve.
I just want to ask you a quick question that has nothing to do with football because you just brought up a bunch of candy bars, and Halloween is Thursday. So, Lance, if you were to pick one kid-size candy bar, what's your favorite one?
Reese's, baby. Reese's Cups.
Okay, Reese Cup. There you go.
No crunchy Reese's Cup. No dark chocolate Reese's. I like my Reese's straight from the factory. You can get them during Christmas. And the peanut butter is just so great. I can't even really eat Reese's out of a store. Once you get the factory fresh Reese's, boy, put those suckers in the refrigerator, get them ice cold with a glass of milk. Why'd you start me, Jeff? Now I want a Reese's, man. Now I want a Reese's and it's late and I can't get one.
Yeah. For me, it's always been Snickers. I've always loved Snickers. Those are the best.
You don't eat Snickers, Jeff. You too healthy.
No, I don't. But at the same time,
you should have said it always was Snickers.
Yeah, I should have said was. Yeah.
Knowing your house, y'all make candy bars, and somehow
we don't make candy bars. Don't make candy bars. So,
y'all make healthy snacks. What actually, this just opens it up for me to ask. What your kids eat candy for Halloween? Like you give them
we let them have a couple, and then we typically do a trade in for different things. They can trade it in for stuff. So
for what?
It can be, no. A lot of times it's for activities. If they want to do something, we've taken them to the movies. We've taken them bowling. I'd rather pay for that stuff than.
Well, that's cool. I'll give you a Snickers for a movie and some bowling. That's an upgrade.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, because the Snickers is like $1.25. Movies, popcorn is like half a mortgage payment. Because it's like it's 10 of y'all, so that's 2 weeks' pay. Trying to go to the movies with a family of 10.
No, not 10. So, all right. So back to the game. Sorry for that quick sidebar for those that are listening. Let's talk about some other defensive players here. Devin Bush, 6 tackles. Not really anything notable. Minka Fitzpatrick, obviously, there's 2 interceptions. I thought Mike Hilton's fumble and recovered by Steven Nelson was a huge play in the game. But you brought him up. The other defensive player other than Fitzpatrick that's worth noting is TJ Watt. He finishes with 3 tackles. He has 2 sacks, and just a really, really good game. I feel like he's getting more disciplined in his pass rush. Sometimes he we get pushed up the arc. What do you think? What do you think about his overall game and how it's evolving? Anything that you didn't say earlier?
Don't leave out the 3 quarterback hits, the 2 forced fumbles, and the fumble recovery. I mean, let's not cheat the man.
Well, I mean, my gosh, it seemed like every time Fitzpatrick dropped back to pass, he was getting hit.
You know what he looks like? And Booger brought it up. He looks like a guy that had older brothers play in the National Football League. He is a sophisticated young pass rusher. I mean, where he works on his craft. He's come into the NFL with the seriousness about being a pro, having 2 older brothers that are pros. I think the brother in San Diego is older as well. I think he's the youngest of the 3. I mean, that's how it should be. I mean, his brothers work hard. They've instilled that work ethic in him. And when you have 3 brothers in the National Football League simultaneously, you're talented as all get out in that household. And genetically, they got something cooking in that household as well. So he's talented. He works hard. He gets it. Can they open up the checkbook and just pay that guy right now? I think they can because this is after his 3rd season. So they can pay him. They can extend him after this 3rd year, and they need to open up the paybook and pay that man.
Well, he would be the first. He might be the first defender that they do that to. You've seen it done recently with quarterbacks and Jared Goff, Carson Wentz also got contracts. They were first round draft picks, so they had that extra year. And so what teams are doing is they're basically just giving them an extension, big signing bonus, guaranteed money involved, and they're just keeping them on their current deal, but giving them extra years after. So they could absolutely do that. I'm not sure if they will. That's not really the Steelers' MO, but at the same time, I wouldn't be upset if they did.
Well, the Steelers' MO, they've torpedoed their MO this year. So
true, very true.
I mean, so pay that man. That man's absolutely a ball player. He's a baller. That's what you want. That's what your first round draft picks need to be. TJ. That's how you get good in a hurry. When you hit on those dudes and they become the dudes. He's one of them dudes right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Michael brings up a good point. Michael Toole, and I put it up on the screen there. How about 27 unanswered points? And that's a kudos to the defense there. And what were your thoughts on, I'm going to just say officiating in general, but really that offensive pass interference on Deontay Johnson was, I thought, extremely soft. And then when Mike Tomlin finally wins a challenge, it seemingly takes 30 minutes for them to get the play rolling again. I just thought it was awful. Lance, what were your thoughts on all that?
Well, the pass interference was ridiculous, but let me defend the officials when it comes to Tomlin winning a challenge. When you've lost like 13 consecutive challenges, it should take like 30 minutes to get it right because they can't believe that you actually got one right. So I'm going to defend the officials on that because Tomlin is so bad on challenges. They were saying to themselves, he couldn't have got this right. Let's look at this like 17 times. There's no way that he got this right. You know, that man done lost like 13 straight challenges. He's terrible. Let's look at this like 50 more times for another half hour. And, you know, I text you, Jeff. I was just thinking like, man, Jeff, you know, if they take much longer on these challenges, I'm going to get like 30 yawns in the show.
See, I mean, seriously, if it weren't for that one end of the third quarter where the third quarter was over, then it wasn't, then it was a crazy sequence, but here we are and it's 12:45 on the East Coast and I'm just like, man, I wish that would have happened quicker, but still we're going to press on. I thought that the worst I don't think that offensive pass interference is going to get a lot of talk because that same drive was when Deontay Johnson had the touchdown run. So I'm not sure how that's going to be handled, but I'm sure Mike Tomlin will be asked about it tomorrow at his weekly press conference. Any other players come to mind? Chris Boswell missed his first field goal, albeit a 54-yarder.
What did you think about that decision? I thought that was a terrible decision to go for the field goal there. I thought they should have punted.
Yeah,
I thought that was bad.
I would have punted or just gone for it. Chris Boswell, even in 2017 in his all-pro year or whatever he had that year, definitely Pro Bowl, he's never had a big leg. He's never been that guy that can hammer a 52, 53. Obviously, he's a 54-yarder today. I don't know. I just didn't. I wasn't crazy about the decision. It gave them really good field position. It is what it is, but still. Anyone else pop off the screen to you, Lance, that we haven't talked about?
No, I mean, Rosie Nix. I
Yeah.
think Rosie Nix. I think Rosie Nix definitely made his presence felt in the interior running game. I thought he was a physical presence in there, banging around. So I think Rosie Nix definitely, made his presence felt. The thing with Mason Rudolph, I'm going to give Mason Rudolph my stamp when I see them being able to target tight ends and get tight ends incorporated in between the numbers and the seams in the passing game. I'm trying to look at the game book and see how many targets tight ends got. Vance got one target and Vanette got one target. I mean, you have to target tight ends more than 2 times. They had one catch for 14 yards on the game. I mean, that has to improve because you get a little you get a little predictable in terms of how you're playing offense. I'm laughing at you, Jeff.
No, you're right. It's late. It's late. It's really late. Okay.
If you're on YouTube, the struggle is real. I appreciate Jeff staying up this late. You guys should appreciate Jeff staying up this late as well. This is a labor of love. So look, if you're on the live chat, please hit the like button. I mean, Jeff works hard. It's almost 1:00 on the East Coast. We appreciate you guys for being on as well. Hit the like button. Appreciate what this man brings to the program and what he does every day, every week. Because it's late. I don't know if I would be on if it were 12:45, and I definitely wouldn't be coherent.
Hey, it's a job. I get paid to do my job. I just try to stay awake to do it. Oh goodness.
Love King Cranston. We're all staying up late. It's not like he has 6 kids or anything.
And has to leave really early for work in the morning. So there you go. You bring up a good point about the tight ends, but don't you also think the fact that the tight ends are going to be used to block more because the offensive line has not been that stellar this year?
Something's got to get right, though. I mean, they got to block better or something. I mean, you just can't.
No, but I'm just thinking, how often are tight ends being asked to actually run routes that are, Vance McDonald did more today than I've seen in the past with Mason Rudolph or someone else at quarterback.
I mean, it's just got to get better. I mean, you can't eliminate a guy that can stretch you vertically in the seams like Vance McDonald because you can't block. They've got to get better. Unfortunate for them, I think on a short week, I think it'll be tough for Foster to come back. But we'll wait and see on the concussion protocol stuff. But I don't mind BJ Finney playing in there. I think he's just as strong, probably more athletic. And I feel comfortable with Finney playing guard in there.
All right, this is a tough question. I think this might be a good one to end on here. And the question is, next week, and now we can look ahead to next week. Outside of the Pittsburgh game, the Sunday night game is the Patriots and the Ravens. Do you root for the Patriots in that game, Lance? I mean,
you can never root for the Ravens. But so, yes, absolutely. The Patriots need to win. The Patriots aren't in the Steelers' viewpoint at this point. Steelers had their opportunity to play them. They got smashed. They got humbled, got beat 33-3. It is what it is. They need them to beat the Ravens so the Steelers can get closer in the standings. That's it. You can never root for the Ravens ever.
I found myself watching the game against the Browns on Sunday with the Patriots, and I was like, you know what? I don't even care about the Patriots anymore. They're probably gonna. I think they'll lose a game. They'll trip up and lose. They like the game that they lost to Miami last year. That last second play.
Their offense stinks. Their offense is not good. People don't want to say that about Tom Brady because they think he walks on water and all that stuff, but their offense is not that good. But anyway, go ahead, Jeff.
Right. So, but still, I was like, you know what? If as a Steeler fan, you root against them because you hate them. But other than that, who cares what the Patriots do? At this point, like you said, they're not even on the Steelers' radar. The Steelers should be looking at really just themselves. I don't even want to look ahead to anything until this team gets to 500. Whether
You're
it's
right. I mean, you're right.
this week or whether it's next week, I'll always be looking at what everyone else is doing because I'm someone that does look ahead. Dave Schofield did an article about how it's not smart to look ahead. I was like, shoot, what else do fans have to do? Go ahead and look ahead. Enjoy it.
Yeah,
Hope that you don't get eliminated from playoffs.
yeah. I mean, one of the listeners in the live chat said, will they contain Lamar? Lamar's a freak show. I don't think there is containing Lamar.
Steelers did in the second half of that game at Heinz Field.
They did, but Lamar got, Lamar gonna get you some.
He's gonna get his. He'll get his.
He gonna always get his with the legs for sure. But no, Steelers got to get back in the division. I mean, they're gonna have their hands full dealing with that Colts running game on a short week. So focus on that.
Well, but I will say this: that it's going to be an interesting situation, with the fact that the Steelers play at 1:00, Ravens play at Sunday night. If the Steelers can beat the Colts at 1, they'll be 4-4. Then all of a sudden, if the Ravens trip up, they're 5-3, right? They would be 5-3. Yes.
Yes, they will. And Jacob Pereira had the perfect answer. Cheering for the Pats win and a minor injury for Brady, like a stub toe, or that thing where the skin on the side of your nail rips off and it hurts disproportionately. That might be the live tweet of the year. That is great. That is an appropriate tweet. I want you to get sort of hurt, not too hurt, and get the win. That was perfect.
That is good. Denise puts the $1.99, says just for Jeff staying up late. We love you. Thank you. Love you guys too. Honestly, if I didn't enjoy doing this, I wouldn't be doing it. Period.
And part of me wearing a mask was I knew Jeff was going to be sleepy, so I figured the mask could perk him up too.
It just made me laugh at the beginning. That's all.
Now it's like normal. He has gold stripes on his face.
There you go. I guess that's $20 from Tyler. I think so.
Man, Tyler, you got to ask a question for $20. You need to ask like 10 questions.
Man, that's like when you just leave a 20 for the bartender, and the bartender's like, "Well, dang, man, dang."
Hey.
Kathy gives us $2. Good rap. Love it. Thank you. Appreciate it. Michael always seems to be keeping a count of our likes and stuff. He said, got 339 people watching and only 57 likes is not acceptable. I love it. He's like,
tell him, Mike. Get on him, Mike. Hey, Mike, we need you to chime in every week. We need a like campaign for sure.
Yeah, no, it's tough for people to understand, like the YouTube algorithm. The more people like your videos, they gets promoted in search engine stuff. So when people search Steelers show, Steelers video, we would be up there higher with more likes. There you go.
Let me read what Tyler wrote though. He said, "New to the pod." Oh man, you guys are flying through this. There you go. New to the podcast, been reading for a few years now. Big thank you, all BTSC contributors. Learned a lot, especially in-depth breakdowns from Flip DTH.
That stands for it's Flip Fisher, Drop the Hammer, and Cliff Harris is still a punk. That's the writer's name. Yeah,
there you go.
Name a few, and people
I only read a couple of articles every 2 weeks. So
you are the Brian Davis to the website. Like Brian Davis does not listen to any other podcast other than his own. You don't read any articles at all.
I read the film guy. I do follow. I do read his stuff.
Tyler says also sorry for pot shots about your kids.
Mostly.
Oh goodness. I will say this, you all are awesome. And it is I got approached by my superior in terms of the podcasting line of SB Nation, and he was I kind of got the hint that he was thinking like, do we really need you all to still be on YouTube? I think they wanted us to go more towards like traditional podcasting, record it somewhere and then move it over here. And I said, you know what? No, we have to be on YouTube. I said, we have all of our shows on YouTube. Yes, we are monetized on YouTube, as Lance just gave the money sign. But at the same time, I said, we have a really good following on YouTube. Lance, when was it? It was like last year at this time we were talking about we just need to get to like 1,000 subscribers.
Yeah, man.
Just get to 1,000 subscribers.
Yeah. Like we it's like we went out and went to Golden Corral or something. when we got to 1,000. He's like, "Well, let's go get some fried shrimp at the Golden Corral at the buffet. Yeah, get the fried." Well, I got fried shrimp. Jeff got veggies with with salt and
But
pepper, oil and
anyways,
vinegar.
anyways, I told him, I was like, nah, the people that come into the live chat every single show, every single week, they're really awesome people, and you kind of get to know them, and basically, so and so Antonio Brown, who's currently unemployed, he says, wait, was the Mason jersey purchased yet? No, I have not purchased the jersey yet.
He tripping. He's
Who?
tripping. You better purchase that jersey, man. You need to purchase that jersey at least by Christmas. If we get to 5,000, 6,000, man, you need to put that Mason on, man.
If you all get us to 5,000, I will before Christmas. If you give me before Christmas, I'll call up Brian Davis and have him get one that fell off the boat to China, and I'll wear a Mason Rudolph
As
jersey.
long as you're not wearing a dude's pants.
No. The BJ Finney pants, which, by the way, because it's the end of the show now, in case if you didn't get to see it, Dave Schofield went live. He was at the game tonight, by the way. He was there live at Heinz Field. He did a quick little, I think it was about a 10-minute, maybe not that long, maybe it'll be like 5 minutes. He found some fans to do some predictions and stuff like that. It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool to see that.
Is it on YouTube? Did you put it on
It
YouTube?
is. It's on the channel. He
All
live
right,
streamed it there. You have to check it out. I told him I wanted him to walk around and get like a bunch of people's, just randomly walk up and say, "Hey, man, what do you think the score is going to be?" It'd be cool. But he got a group of 5 or 6 people, and as someone said earlier in the live chat, one female fan, Steeler fan, actually predicted the score prior to the game on Dave's video. So that's pretty cool.
I thought you said she flashed the crowd or something. I thought, like in the World Series with Jared Cole. I thought, did you hear about that, Jeff? That Jared Cole got flashed in the World Series.
Garrett Cole got flashed in Washington?
Cole, yes, he got flashed. Yeah, he got flashed. Yes, yes, he did. You'll have to look on Twitter or YouTube or something. Yeah, he got flashed. Absolutely,
there's video of it.
Yes, he got flashed by 2 female Nat fans, I believe, through a strike too. So yeah,
were they behind the home plate?
Yes, they were. Yes, they were. He threw a strike too. Good. And the funny thing about it was the one young lady had her top up for seemed like a minute, and it was like the other young lady was like, "I don't know if I'm going to do this. I don't know if I'm going to do this." So she literally left her friend hanging before she joined in. And to the Joker on the live chat, just call me Ray Blasterio, because he said I look like a black Ray Mysterio. So Ray Blasterio. That's right. The new character. If they keep winning, this keeps coming out and we keep getting likes.
Yes. So let's talk about what's coming up, because with a short week, it is kind of like a log jam in terms of our shows, especially tomorrow, Tuesday. We will have the Steelers Hangover. That typically airs earlier in the day, probably like 5:30 or 6. And then Dave will be on tomorrow night in his normal spot for the Steelers Stat Geek. And then Wednesday, Lance and I will be back on for the Standard. And everything else will be business as usual for once. A 1 o'clock game. I'm super excited for this 1 o'clock game. I'm so sick and tired of staying up so late. They've already played in, I think, 4 primetime games in 7 games so far this year. It's just been a drain. So there you go. The Steelers win. They moved to 3-4 on the season. Now we get ready for the Indianapolis Colts to come to town in Week 9. And we will have all of that for you both on BehindTheSteelCurtain.com and here on our podcast platform and on YouTube. Search BTSC Steelers Radio. Don't forget, like the video, subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss any of our shows. And Lance, why don't you go ahead and send us off?
Before we get out, before I send you guys off, I want to dedicate this program to the memory of my cousin Kyle Wilson, who passed away 11 years ago today. due to a spinal injury that he received playing football. I don't know if you guys remember it. It was a pretty big story in Pittsburgh at the time. He played football for Central Catholic, and he got hurt in a football game and passed away later on that week. This is sort of like I think the 11th year since he passed away. If you guys look up Kyle Wilson, Central Catholic, you'll get the information about it. But with that, we're going to go ahead and conclude the program. And as always, tune in, tell a friend, and subscribe.
We will see you next Sunday for another episode of the Steelers Postgame Show.